Bad news for Florida colleges, as 25% of college applicants are rejecting states with bad politics. In a recent survey from the Art and Science Group, reveals that college applicants are increasingly ruling out universities based on the political climate in the states in which they reside. The LGBTQ students are especially vigilant. Over a quarter of applicants, 28%, admitted, according to the survey, quote, exclude schools solely based on political considerations in the state where the institution is located, end quote. Texas particularly stands out as the most rejected state, with both liberal and moderate students dismissing it. The survey indicates that student decisions often align with their political affiliations. Conservative students are more inclined to rule out states like New York and California, while liberal students are likely to exclude Florida, Arkansas, and Tennessee. Moderates also showed a tendency to avoid California, Florida, and New York. However, queer students specifically demonstrated a greater likelihood of excluding schools in states like Florida due to the political context of their locations. Florida has recently been criticized for its anti-LGBTQ legislation and other controversial policies proposed and passed by Republican Governor Ron DeSantis. Rebekah, a 17-year-old transgender girl from New Jersey, expressed her concerns to The Advocate magazine regarding the impact of anti-LGBTQ laws on her college search. She explained her options. She said, quote, it's been really interesting to see how my peers go about this college finding process because they don't really have to think about their safety as much, end quote. You know, this was, I think, a very interesting article on a few different levels. You know, when I first read this article, I was like, I need to go check a fact to figure out, you know, because there's been this talk about eventually the number of college-age students in this country is going to decline. I double-checked. The Hill reported in January, 2025 is when you're going to start seeing the number of college-age students decline. And it's not going to come back till 2037. So the fact that students are making college decisions based on something like this should be a huge wake-up call to the institutions and the state leaders that have college students. Now, the other fun, interesting fact or question for me is, there's been a lot of discussion about young male voters and are they all turning far right. And if that's true, we would be able to see that in college enrollments in states like Florida and Texas, where normally overall, there are actually more young women in school than men. Yeah. But a place like Texas or Florida, if this is true, and if these boys are so conservative, you'll start seeing those schools have a lot more boys all of a sudden. So it's a fun, weird fact, but in reality, it's also a really scary issue that needs to be tackled by elected leaders.
When dinosaurs roamed the earth, that is when I went to college, I was actually very cognizant of which state and areas that I'm, and this is in the 90s when gay rights wasn't as big of a thing as it is now. But I was still looking out for my safety. I chose Boston for a reason. I chose Boston University, my alma mater. Shout out to AOC.
Right. I believe it. Very similar. And since I was going to college in the early 80s, long before you were going to college, when I was applying to college, this wasn't really something that I thought about. However, when I attended college in Boston, Emerson College, in the early 1980s, as a young gay man, an out gay man, was definitely the best decision I could have made because Boston is known for being liberal and open. And I mean, the state of Massachusetts is known for that. So I can see how that now affects decision making.
Florida's the Wild Wild West. I could believe these numbers. The youth is more in tune, they're more understanding, they're more aware and self-conscious of the world and what's going on. So Florida is not a fun place on paper. But in real life, it's a ball. I love the beach and the jet skis, but in reality, there's so many things that are laws and orders in place to block your life.
Yeah. Look, that's a really big, important point, because as someone who grew up, I was born and raised third generation Bostonian and did go up to school up there, but when I've lived down here versus up there, I've been discriminated many times as a queer person in the Boston area. There is very much an unsaid way of rejecting queer people in Massachusetts. Whereas down here, at least in South Florida, I don't want to say all of Florida, but at least South Florida, I've not felt that sort of discrimination.
That's why.
But I've also experienced very kind people in Orlando, Tampa, and Tallahassee. So I was very surprised by that difference.
Those are usually cities that turn blue anyway.
I'm not going to go roaming through the wilderness to try and find the homophobes in the world.
Well, the thing is too, there are two things about this. One, when the student body declines, or if they do not get the right kind of students, the ones that are high achieving, more open-minded, the more likely they're going to become like high achieving individuals. You're looking at brain drain. Faculty will not come here.
Yeah.
Research grants will not arrive. A lot of these grants are given by non-profit that are private.
Right.
They don't have to give DeSantis make it difficult for queer students, and more importantly, let's talk about women. Florida and Texas both ban abortion, an extreme ban on abortions. Why would any young woman feel safe coming down here knowing that any kind of slip up, and now Trump is taking aim at birth control. They're going to try to ban birth control, ban the morning after pill, ban everything. Why would any kind of women want to come to any of these red states to study?
Yes.
That's a very big point, because I'm not going to name this, but like when I was a freshman in college, another freshman, she did have to get and go through an abortion. It was a very emotional experience for her and all of us as her friend. And the idea that going to a state where you wouldn't have that option, though, not to tell people how to vote, but there the question 4, I think, might
Amendment
actually
4.
help address that if any voters are interested.
Well, on the other hand, although 4 years ago we also had an Amendment 4 that actually allow felons to get the vote.
Very good point.
But DeSantis have still today put up every administrative obstacle there is so that they can avoid actually the will of the voters to bring that amendment live. So
Let's vote, people. Vote. Get out there.
Vote
Mail.
Blue.
Yep.
Send a carrier pigeon.
And
Smoke signal.
And also just to remind all the young men, all the young men, Project 2025, which is embraced by Trump, bans pornography. If you enjoy any of that as a young man, vote for someone else.
They even consider drag pornography. Are there any drag stories today?
Oh,
Bob?
they would call anything pornography. They'll call anything.
Is there any story coming up that's drag related?
Yeah. Anyway, so